All right, let's talk to our senior political commentator, Nigel Nelson, and former Conservative advisor, Claire Pearsall, who are taking us through the papers this morning.
A romp between the sheets of the newspaper. So early in the morning.
Of the newspaper, come on. Not my fault your mind's in the sewer.
Oh, dear me. Claire, The Guardian, Macron.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to get everybody upset again, isn't it? Because you're looking at the chief Brexit negotiator, Michel Barnier, but he is managing to please absolutely no one. It's quite interesting. Macron has put him in there to really stop the rise of any left populism. Yeah, he is the new PM, the oldest in France's history. He is, 73 years old. But he was put in, I think, by Macron to stop the sort of rise of any extreme left. But so, therefore, the left don't like him. But also the very populist right Eurosceptic bunch don't like Barnier either. So he's coming in and you sort of think, well, what are you trying to achieve? The only person I think is going to be incredibly happy about this is Sir Keir Starmer, who will naturally have similar views.
Yeah, they do, Nigel, don't they? I was reading an biography recently, and they do have quite a good relationship.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Barnier was singing the praises of Keir Starmer.
Yeah, but I don't think that we should compare... Michel Barnier is becoming the French Prime Minister. He's not the Brexit negotiator, so Brexit has got nothing to do with what is going on in France.
But this is a man who is so pro-EU, wants an EU army, he wants everything to be together.
But we've left. It doesn't involve us.
But it doesn't matter, does it? Because you can just see those conversations are going to happen, because I can't see Barnier is going to go, actually, well, I'm not going to talk to the UK because it's not very interesting, when he's got somebody that he could probably do business with.
Yeah,
which is going to upset everyone.
I'm sure he'll talk to us. I mean, he's the French Prime Minister, so you'd expect him to talk to the British Prime Minister.
You think this is just going to be a nice conversation about the weather or what they had for breakfast?
Probably it'll be a nice conversation about immigration and how they might control it. I think that probably Barnier would be more helpful, as far as we're concerned, about controlling immigration. One of his big things is immigration.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he's an old centrist, but he seems to have turned right when he stood for the presidency.
He did. Really interestingly.
So at the moment, he's like to be propped up by National Rally over in France, because obviously you've got a hung parliament there at the moment. But as far as Brexit goes, it's gone, finished, over.
I love the fact I mentioned the word Brexit and you get all twitchy about it. But he was the chief Brexit negotiator. We came away with nothing out of many of those conversations. It's interesting that you also mentioned immigration. And when we look at Keir Starmer's stance on immigration, do you think that sort of pot of let's share out equally all of the
not that
seekers.
Old trope all over again. I mean,
you mentioned immigration.
That was the election one, and I think as we've said before here, that we're not in the EU. We will not be taking a quota of EU immigrants
currently.
Wouldn't want to be you when you get home, Claire. You're going to be in so much trouble. Nigel, can we have a look at and it's everywhere actually. The Jeremy Kyle show. It's awful. Inquest into the death of Steve Diamond. Jeremy Kyle has been giving evidence.
Yeah, I mean, I think with shows like that, I think shows like that have gone now. I mean, they've obviously that's the past. That, you know, it started off with sort of Jerry Springer over in America. Jeremy Kyle sort of took the template and brought it here.
Yes, but with an edge.
Yeah, but it always felt like, I mean, it just felt like whenever you tuned in, you were looking into the Roman Colosseum as they threw people to the lions. Yeah. And I used to find those shows incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah, I didn't watch them, I must admit.
And obviously people were going to, you know, if you did have any mental health problems, as obviously this guy did who killed himself, going on a show like that, and I appreciate he did ask to go on 40 times, and he really wanted to be on the show, but whether or not they should have let him, it does bring into question the duty of care that the programme makers have to the people who appear.
That's what Carl has said, isn't it, Claire? It's like, you know, I was just doing a job as a presenter. The production team took care of everything else.
I think you look at it in the wider context of all kind of reality programmes, and we've seen some real tragic outcomes of people who have been on their shows. I don't think it's fair to blame one person being the presenter. They have a role, but I don't think that... It's one of these... I don't like this sort of rush to blame the one person who was the front man.
I have an issue with that. I don't know Mr. Kyle personally. I don't. However, when you look at how a show like that is done, it's driven by there's someone at the front leading the style and the. Now, what he said yesterday was, I de-escalated it. I calmed it down. He said that, and that's what the show was all about. Conflict resolution.
And then
but we've seen the clips now.
Yeah,
we've seen the clips which have never been aired before. Grow a pair is yelling at him. I wouldn't trust you with a chocolate button.
Yeah.
All that isn't calming it down. That isn't conflict resolution. That's stoking it up, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, but he was a part to play. He had a part. Now, I have worked with him, and I like him, and I'll probably get a lot of abuse for this, but I have seen him be great with people who've come into the studio, with production teams. I have never had any problems with it. I think that this show probably brought out the worst in a lot of people. I think that you watched it and it was uncomfortable, but we didn't stop watching it, which is why it went on.
I was going to say, I think that's a relevant point. You have to question the people that are watching. You've got huge viewing figures.
No, I understand that, but that's like a car crash, isn't it? Everyone slows down for a car crash.
Yeah.
The question is whether it should actually have been on television.
And no, I think absolutely not. And again, I know people watched it. And I'm sorry to say he's not a nice man. Might be a perfectly nice man. But if you're prepared to play the role of being actually pretty horrible, I think you've got to
But that's what I mean. I think
questions
that
about
everybody
yourself,
has
frankly.
a part in this, and I don't think it's fair for the one person who is the front man to actually shoulder the entire blame. I think production companies, I think there are a lot of people involved with this, and it does bring into the fore how you deal with vulnerable people in broadcast.
I mean, I would never present a show where it relies on me being horrible to people, even if that's what my team is telling me to do.
You literally just smeared lipstick all over my face.
Oh, yeah, but I was...
That's about as nasty as it gets.
I don't know. And they say it's not... I'm not having a go at him, particularly, because you don't know the circumstances, but I just think you've got to personally, in life, be able to draw some lines.
Yeah.
And that would be a line for me.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair enough.
There's a nastiness which pervades society at the moment. You've got to draw your own, you've got to have your own moral compass.
But what is sad is that you don't end a show like that until a tragedy happens.
No.
And by that time, it's too late.
Yeah. And obviously, the inquest, the friends and family are reliving all of this again now.
Yeah.
So thoughts with all of those, it can't be easy for them. Should we lighten the tone, Nigel? This is your story. The Times, page 3. It's very quick. AI helps mumbling actors speak up. Project,
great. I mean, the one thing that drives around the bend is I can't hear the television. Now, maybe my ears, and Claire says that she has to turn the TV up high, and I still can't get it. Claire's got an accent. I couldn't do it. She translated the SNP for me when we were in the House of Commons. I just cannot get an accent. Anyway, AI is coming to the rescue. What it's going to do is that you'll have a button on your remote, which means that you can isolate the actor you can't hear, and as a result of that, you will then be able to understand what they're saying without switching on subtitles. As apparently 40% of people who watch Netflix have to watch it with subtitles to understand what's going on.
Well, it's a clever way of doing it. It is just getting older.
Yeah, no, well,
It's true. It's true.
It is true.